Build Your Business listeners. This is Matt Reynolds, your host for the podcast, and you are listening to what we are calling the legacy episodes. And really, these are the pre-episodes that really led to this podcast, the Build Your Business podcast. This is really my life's work and my brother's life's work in building your business. And so they were originally published in the Barbell Logic podcast as part of the Principles or Coaching Success series, but really touch on similar topics to the Build Your Business podcast: how to improve your productivity, how to set and accomplish your goals, deprioritize urgent tasks, to focus on what is most important to you, and most importantly, to become a better person and leader and business owner overall. I'm proud to bring you these podcasts. Again, many years of life's work, several years of podcasts, and several decades of business ownership. Hope you enjoy them and learn from them. You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show. You're listening to the Barbell Logic podcast. I am your host, Matt Reynolds. This is another episode of the Coaching Success series. Hey, I'm coming to you from Florida. I'm in my hotel room. Audio quality is probably not going to be as good today because I'm recording this on my MacBook. We just wrapped up TV shoots, video shoots with some of our clients, and Mickey Sims and myself, we're going to be featured on Viewpoint with Dennis Quaid, and Empowered with Meg Ryan, and Balancing Act with Montel Williams. So all pretty cool that we got to do that. So super fun experience here. I'm going to take off for the airport here shortly, but wanted to get you something for Friday. So it's probably be a short one. And actually, it probably fits in pretty well because what I want to dive into today is talking really about reliability, why it's so important to be reliable. And this is really, unfortunately, incredibly unique in 2024. It's so common for people to be unreliable. And we were moving that direction anyway. And COVID, I don't know what it was. We've done a podcast about this, about what happened to the service industry during COVID and post-COVID. One of the things I've noticed, especially with millennial and Gen Z generation, and that's not, I know I'm painting with a broad brush there. There are a lot of you listening to this that are in those generations that this is not a criticism of you specifically, but more of a blanketed, there's certainly people in all generations that are like this. But I have noticed a growing trend with both millennials and Gen Z, and I'm around them all the time because this is like Gen Z are my daughters, and millennials are who I go to church with and who I interact with a lot, clients, etc. There is a growing trend of a general lack of reliability. They're unreliable. And so I wanted to just dive in a little bit today. Last week, we talked about core values, what's important to us, like, taking responsibility and taking initiative and being ambitious and always doing the right thing and all that kind of stuff. And I think this is a little bit more of a deeper dive into the trenches, into the actual, like what that looks like. And so I certainly would correlate extremely closely reliability to integrity. So if you think back, those of you who have listened for a while, you know that we've talked about, this is really Andrew Jackson really fleshed this out, is that the value equation, the trust equation. We're trying to build trust with our clients. So those of you that are listening to this podcast who are coaches, we found there's really a 3-part system to building trust. And by the way, this has to be authentic. This can't be faked. Actually, we'll talk about that a little bit more. And so that building trust comes from, number one, ability. Are you good enough to actually help your clients get to the goals? Do they believe that? It's a perception thing. Do they believe that you have the ability or the expertise or the professionalism to get them there, to get them to the goal line, to get them to cross that goal? Number two, integrity, which is what we'll dive in on today, which is, do you follow through with the things you say you're going to do? If you say you're going to do the thing, you do the thing. And number three is benevolence or caring. Like, do your clients or people around you perceive that you authentically care about them? And again, I think all this stuff has to be authentic, but I think some of it can be faked, but reliability cannot be. So I'll tell a few personal anecdotes here. And I always hesitate for this. Like anytime I tell a story like this that feels like, let me talk about how great I am at this thing, it feels sort of weird. And so I'd actually rather brag on my wife a little bit. So Rachel and I as well, I think we are some of the most reliable people that all of our friends and community know. If we say we're going to do a thing, we're going to do a thing. We host parties and church services and stuff like that all the time. We never back out. We don't call in sick. We don't show up late. If we say we're going to be at a thing, we're at a thing. Even when we don't feel like it, even when we don't feel good, even when we feel like, and this is part of this deal. And so I've seen a tremendous uptick in unreliability and being not reliable. And I saw this with my daughter, my 19-year-old daughter, who's wonderful. She's a wonderful human being. She loves that benevolent side of her is off the charts. She loves people. She is a people person, but she will have the tendency to, call in sick to school or not show up on time or always be a little bit late. And that is a lack of reliability. And so the way I think reliability correlates to integrity is that integrity is, as we've talked about in the past, is really just actually doing what you say you're going to do. Reliability is consistently providing that, right? Consistently providing and following through with that integrity. And the reliability piece is actually more about others' perception of you. I think, I don't know, because I certainly try not to do this. Don't think I do this. I think you can fake integrity a little bit. Maybe you can fake benevolence. Certainly, I think you could fake benevolence or caring for a short-term period. When you coach someone for 500 workouts or 1,000 workouts, and gosh, I was seeing the other day, 15% of the clients at Barbell Logic Online Coaching have completed 1,000 workouts. 15% are BL1K achievers, which that's incredible. That takes 5, 6, 7 years. And so it is very difficult to fake caring and benevolence over that long period of time. Integrity, I think, can also be a little bit faked, especially, integrity. There was a book written, I think, in the 90s that integrity is like who you are when no one's looking. And so if that's the definition of integrity and not necessarily following through with the things that you say you're going to do, I think you can put on a facade. You can fake integrity a little bit for a short period of time, but ultimately that's going to come out over a long period of time. So if you do this well, if you provide excellent service to your clients, if they stay for multiple years, they know exactly who you are. You all that have listened to this podcast, you know exactly who I am. I can't be somebody different after several thousand hours of podcasts and YouTube. They're like, what you see on the podcast, that's me. That's who I am. And certainly you could fake that for, 5 or 10 podcasts or videos or whatever. But over the course of time, and this is why I think like occasionally, and again, I say this humbly, occasionally I get recognized in an airport or an airplane or something like that. And people will come up to me and they'll almost make like an inside joke and, say they feel like they know me. And the reality is they do. They know me. This is me. Like there's not a persona that I put on for the camera or for the microphone or for the podcast or the interviews or whatever. And the real Matt is somebody different. Like you just can't do that over time. And so that reliability is really the consistency of integrity. It's the consistency of integrity that matters. And so, for example, I want to be careful because obviously I love my kids like crazy, but my oldest especially, and my youngest will do this too. I don't want to let her get off scot-free. They will frequently have an excuse for something that, they don't want to do chores or work or set up for church on Sunday morning, and they have a headache or they're sick or they've got cramps or whatever. And I'm just like, if that's once every 8 or 10 weeks, that's an okay. But when it's nearly every week, you have created consistency in being unreliable. I can't count on you. I was in Chicago last week or week before last for board meetings for Barbell Logic. My youngest daughter had a hand-me-down bedroom set from her older sister. The bed was falling apart. It's some of the last furniture we bought that's kind of particle board and not high quality, and it was a mess, and she needed a new bedroom set. And so my wife went and looked and found a new bedroom set for my daughter. And so got a bedroom set for her. So, a bed and a dresser and a side table, I think, those 3 things. We needed help loading it up, and all of the bedrooms in our house are upstairs. and our stairs have a 90-degree turn, which makes things difficult, obviously, to take them up the stairs. And so we needed help. Obviously, I was in Chicago, so she had the store hold them for a day or two. When I got home, we got ready to pick them up. I texted my oldest daughter and said, hey, we need some help carrying this stuff up. Can you have either you and your boyfriend or you and your best friend or someone? I need 4 people. So your mom and I will be 2. You're 1. I need you to provide another one. And so she did and decided that one of her friends was going to help us with this thing. Wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that heavy. With 4 people, it was going to be easy to carry up. And then she bailed on me when it was time to pick it up. And I said, and again, Kaylin's probably not listening to this, but Kaylin, I love you. You're wonderful. I love the woman you're turning into, but this is the thing that I think we've got to work on. And not just for her, but for so many of us, that there's just this, when it comes time to actually do the hard work, actually do the voluntary hardship, actually, as I've said, get the dirt under your fingernails. It is so much easier to just phone it in, call in sick, bail, whatever. And so are you the type of person, to wrap up that story, we had to deal with that. We had to sit down and have a conversation about this is not who we are at our core values. We came back to what we talked about last week. This is important. This was going to be a 30 to 45 minute task. The furniture store was 6 minutes up the road from the house. We're going to drive the truck. We're going to load it up. I mean, really, the guys at the furniture store are going to load it up, and we're going to tie it down. We're going to go to the house, and we're going to carry it up together up the stairs in the 90-degree turn. My wife and I ended up doing that by ourselves, the 2 of us. It was much more difficult with 2 people as opposed to 4 people. So as we look at how that reflects on us as coaches, the most important thing here, I think, is that you understand, or that we all understand, that reliability requires 0 skill, 0 experience, and 0 money. This is something for people in the service industry that you absolutely should be known for. This is the great separator in our field, in the service industry. Again, probably don't have a lot of waiters and waitresses and, hotel managers and whatever, but if you're in the service industry, reliability is the thing that costs nothing outside of your time and effort. So if you are starting a coaching business, you don't have a lot of cash and everything's a little bit tight, one of the greatest places that you can separate yourself, and this is the thing, right? So from the ability standpoint, the expertise, that takes time. You just have to have experience. Of course, you should go through the Barbell Academy and learn everything you need to learn, and then get as many clients under the bar as you can. But ultimately, that takes some time to build the experience, to build the ability. That takes some time. The other 2, the integrity piece and reliability piece, you can do it today. You can start it today. Be reliable. Don't be someone who is perceived as unreliable. Always show up on time, or preferably early. Follow through every single time, 100 times out of 100 times, with the things that you say that you're going to do, so that you have that integrity. You've got that consistency of integrity. That's what reliability is. And then actually care about your clients or the people that you serve. Or again, if you're a waiter or a waitress, you care about the people at the table. You're not just thinking about the tip. And of course, those things matter. When you provide great service, you're going to get a better tip. You're going to get paid well. This is still your life and your job. And at some level, it's still about income and those sort of things. And so I would argue that it tends to be probably even easier for someone in the food industry, got to put on a face and be happy for a short period of time and try to get that big tip out of the dinner guests. Often the clients that we coach see us more than just about anybody else in their life outside of the closest members of their family. And so we do develop a relationship with them, a professional relationship, a right relationship. We understand where that line is to provide professionalism at all times. But a big piece of that professionalism is reliability. Do you continue to provide integrity or show integrity or give perceived integrity, which can be faked for a short period of time, but cannot be faked over 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 years, and provide that reliability that costs nothing, right? So the thing that you can provide early on as a coach is the integrity and the benevolence or the caring, which costs nothing. And so if you provide that well, then your clients will be patient with you as you build the ability to be the expert, to turn into, to grow into the expert coach that you want to be, because they know that you care about them and not just their monthly payment, not just their cash that comes in, not, whatever that is. And so, or the network or any other fringe benefits that you get from clients. And so I would challenge you today to think about, like, are you a reliable person? Like, literally take a minute, maybe even pause the podcast and just take the top 20 closest relationships in your life, your family, your immediate family, your extended family, your closest friends, your closest clients. And would they say, if someone asked them, can you list the top 5 most reliable people in your life? Are you on that list? And if you're not, that's something you can change today. Now, it's going to take some time because it's consistency of integrity. So you can start to build reliability and build trust, but that's going to take a little time before their perception changes. If you've been an unreliable person, or somebody who calls in sick or shows up late or whatever the thing is, you can start to change your habits today. But it's actually the perception of those habits that builds reliability. So integrity is really an internal thing. Again, who you are when no one's looking. Reliability is the perception of long-term integrity by someone else. And that takes a little bit of time, but start today. And you'll be surprised that over the next several weeks and months, and of course years, you'll build that trust by building that reliability through authentic integrity and authentic benevolence and care. And then that really buys you the time to build the experience as an expert coach. And so always try to wrap up with something like this. This is, again, we think about these things for TurnKey Coach. We have built in the connections, the reminders, the notifications to help coaches provide reliability and integrity with their clients. And so, birthday reminders and 24-hour notifications to make sure that you get their videos broken down in time, programming notifications like, oh, this person needs programming. Those are all things that are worked in. And so if we do this well, then the technology should feel frictionless, should feel almost like it's not even there. It's just the bridge that allows you to interact with your client. And it's the bridge for the client that allows them to interact with their coach so that you can do what you do best, which is coach, and they can do what they are paying for, which is train and get feedback from their coach. If the technology has friction and speed bumps and challenges and whatnot, then we've got to do a better job. But I love what the dev team at Barbell Logic and Andrew Jackson and Paul Hahn and Certain and the whole dev team, they've done a tremendous job of building these things into the software so that it really feels frictionless. And like, we want the technology to feel almost transparent or almost like it's not there. It's just like making a phone call to somebody, but it's in an asynchronous manner. And so those reminders are there, those notifications are there, the birthday reminders, all that kind of stuff is there so that you have every opportunity possible to practice and show integrity and reliability over the long term, over a long span of time. And so think about today. Are you a reliable person? Are you someone that shows up early? Are you someone that does what you say you're going to do every single time for years on end to build a tremendous amount of reliability? And by the way, when you do that, coming back to that trust equation, in the 1 out of 1,000 times that you drop the ball, you've built so much trust with your clients that you don't lose a lot of trust and perceived integrity or reliability the 1 time out of 1,000 that you drop the ball, because everyone knows you're super reliable, right? And so that is key. That's why it's the consistency of this that really matters. So be a reliable person. It costs you nothing. This is the great separator. So while you're looking at other coaches or companies, even somebody like Barbell Logic, you're like, man, these companies have like way more money and way more coaches and they can make a bigger impact. And on some level, at a capital level, that's true, but you can really provide incredible reliability, integrity, benevolence, and over time build that ability and expertise as a coach and really create a separator for yourself as a coach so that you are something special. You are something unique. You're something that even Barbell Logic cannot offer. You're something that no other business can offer. And so that is why we've built TurnKey Coach the way we have. Yeah, let's be reliable people. Get away from this unreliability. It's not okay, even though it's 2024, and even though culture says it's okay to call in sick and to show up late, and the culture for some reason has approved this. Let's not do that. Let's be the best we can possibly be and provide the best service on the planet, which costs us nothing. And so if you're struggling with money, if you're struggling with, capital allocation and all of this stuff that feels daunting in a business, the thing that you can do well is just be really reliable. It costs you nothing outside of just time and effort, no cash, and build those relationships with your clients. So there you go. There is another episode of the Barbell Logic podcast, Coaching Success Series. If you got value from this, I would love a 5-star review. Of course, it's very helpful for us, especially as these TV shows will launch. By the way, I mentioned the TV shows. I think they'll come out late May, early June, somewhere in that ballpark on public television, PBS and Lifetime. We're excited to probably have a watch party and some fun stuff planned in the future. So we're excited for that. There you go. There's another episode. Hope you guys have a great Friday. I'll see you next week. I'm going to talk to Adam Skillen, which is our coach next week that has the most clients at Barbell Logic and has for a long time. He's got a great story. He was, I believe, an executive at a bank, ended up leaving that eventually to do full-time online coaching. And so we're going to hear his story next week, and should be really cool testimonial of what you can do if you do it well. And he's done an incredible job. He's an incredible coach. He's basically never missed a check-in, never missed a 24-hour. He had one, and it was definitely an app issue. One out of like thousands, tens of thousands. He breaks down videos for 100 minutes a day and makes good money doing it and loves his life. And so I'm excited to hear his story next week. So we'll see you next Friday. You guys have a great weekend.